You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, unknown actors with me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And for the last 13 years, I've been taking unknown actors with blank CVs all the way to Netflix dramas, Amazon Prime films, TV soaps, and stage plays around the world. And every week I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid working unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready to dive into the episode? Hello and welcome to another insightful episode of Unstoppable Actors. As ever, I am so excited to deliver this episode to you, specifically because I'm going to be walking you through an exercise which was first created by Stanislavski that I know when you understand it logically and then have a play around with it practically, it is going to completely up-level your acting, and it'll take you from that pretending and faking being in character to actually putting you firmly in the character and living through them and embodying them and creating genuine emotional responses, which will make your performances truly gripping. And that's important for where you're at right now, because when you start getting positive feedback on your performances, it obviously makes you feel very good about yourself. I know you might be thinking, no way, Captain Obvious, but here's the real thing. When you feel good about your performances, you will be more proactive with your acting career, and that's so important for the stage that you're at right now. When you're proactive, you get more opportunities present themselves to you. You get your foot in more doors, and that's all that I want for you. And it's why here at Standby Method Acting Studio, one of our mottos is the craft first for long-term success. Because when you start to get on a really good path with your craft, so many amazing things will happen in your acting career, because you know you are talented, you know you are worthy of being in an audition room, you know you are deserving of roles. Before I get started, there is something about characters that I don't know if you're aware of, but there'll be some characters that you can connect to super easy. You just find that natural instant connection and they feel like a dream to play. And then there's others that you really struggle with. And the interesting thing about this is it turns out that it's actually not about talent. It's about how you personally process emotion and story. And you will either process it logically or emotionally. And that will make you either a head actor or a heart actor. Now, neither of those two actors are better than the other. To be the sublime actor, the most insanely talented actor, you have to have 50% of both head and heart. But most actors are dominant in either one or the other. So what I've done is I've created a free quiz for you, and I've left the link for you underneath the episode, but if you want to type it into Google, it's bit.ly/acting type, and it will tell you which type of actor you are, whether you are predominantly a head actor or predominantly a heart actor. And then what I've also done for you is, after you've taken the quiz, I've created a mini method acting course called the Pre-Scene Power Up, and I've given you an exercise that you can do before scenes to get you to start balancing out both the head and the heart, so you can start to get into character in a more grounded and focused way, where the head and the heart are balancing more, where you can give those performances that are real and they're not dominated by either your logic or by your emotions. And it's so interesting. So the quiz has been taken by countless actors, and at the moment, at the time of recording this episode, there is a split right down the middle with the results. So far 50% of people who've taken the quiz are head actors and 50% of them are heart actors. Which one are you? Once you've listened to this episode, go to the link that's underneath where you press play and go and take the quiz and find out. It's so interesting, and it will really help you understand yourself as an actor. And it's one of the reasons why one of our mottos here at Standby Method Acting Studio is the craft first for long-term success. Because when you can get on top of your craft, you feel confident in yourself and amazing things start happening because you become more proactive and you become more magnetic to directors and casting directors and agents. So I definitely encourage you to take the quiz. But we're going to get back into the main point of the episode now. And I'm going to be talking to you about scene needs. So scene needs are really, really important. If you're brand new to acting, you might be thinking, what is a scene need? Don't worry, I'm going to explain it to you. And if you've been acting for a while, you might have heard it as an objective. So a scene need or an objective is something the character has in a scene. It's something they are focusing on achieving. And every character has a different scene need in every single scene. And it's really important that we figure this out. But what usually happens is some actors, and these would be the head actor, can figure out the scene need logically, and they fully understand it on an intellectual level. Some actors really struggle with it, and then they start overthinking it and questioning themselves and doubting, and they're just not sure whether they've got it right. And then they start getting sucked into what's called mental tension. And then other people, when they're trying to figure out the scene need, they always resort to, I want the other character to understand me, which in some respects is correct. But the purpose of a scene need is to help you find something to play in a scene. So it gives you that focus, the objective that the character's working towards. And it's really hard to play, I want someone else to understand me, because it becomes very ambiguous and vague and wishy-washy. So for the purpose of this episode, we're going to assume that you've got a character and you've got a really meaty scene and you know what the scene need is. And the reason I'm coming from this angle is because I want to share the Stanislavski exercise with you to help you understand how to connect emotionally to the scene need rather than just knowing what it is on a logical level. So we can marinate that head actor and the heart actor and bring the two together so you are creating authentic performances. So Stanislavski has this exercise, and in it, he asks his acting students to find a brooch which is hidden in the theatre. Now, I've adapted this exercise. It's an incredible exercise, but I use money for it, and I'm going to go into how this works. Now, I no longer do in-person classes. All of my classes are online, and I still do the exercise online, and it's incredible, and I'm going to tell you how it works in an online capacity. Well, for the purpose of this episode, I'm going to share when I used to do this in class in person. So what I would do is I would bring £20 to class, and I would start off with the foundational exercises, as we always do in the 10-week method acting program, which is your relaxation exercise first, then your concentration, and then your sense memory. And these 3 exercises get you warmed up before you start working. So they get you to relax, they get your imagination working, and they get you focused. So I then move them on to this Stanislavski exercise, and I'd say, right, I've got £20, I'm going to hide this, and I want you to find it, but I'm going to pretend to hide it. And that's the key here. The key here is that I told them I'm pretending to hide it. So I've showed them the £20 note, but I'm saying I'm pretending to hide it. And they're like, okay, yeah. So then I say to them, right, I'm going to put a timer on. You've got 4 minutes to find this £20. But of course, they know I'm still holding the £20, like I've put it in my pocket usually is what's happened. So I'll put the timer on and off they go, starting to look for this £20. And they are fake looking for this £20. They're pretending they can't find it. So they might be making sounds like, oh, which is pretending they're frustrated that they can't find it. Or they're demonstrating that they're finding it by pretending that it's exhausting, lifting chairs up or looking through different things. Demonstrating, if you're not aware of that word, is trying to show the audience you're having a genuine reaction, but you're not really. So like I've just said that, making that sound as if you're frustrated or exhausted is pretending that you are, but you're actually not, because you're not genuinely feeling that emotion. Then the timer goes off, the 4 minutes are up, and we discuss this. And I will share with everyone that what I could see as your acting coach is there was a huge part of this exercise that wasn't real for you. and you didn't genuinely believe you were looking for a £20 note. And then I will share where they were demonstrating, pretending to find it. And it might be that they're just throwing things everywhere willy-nilly. It might be, like I've already said, they're pretending to emote by making that huh sound. Or it might be something else, but it's not real, and they agree, yeah, it's because I knew you had the £20 in your pocket, or you were still holding the £20. So that's the first part of the exercise, and that teaches them a really big lesson. And then I ask them to do the exercise again. Only this time, I tell them I am really going to hide the £20, and they have to wait outside the studio, and I shut the door whilst I go and hide it. Now, when I do this online, what I do is I ask the students to go and grab one of their housemates or family members or whoever it is that they live with to come in to the room that they're working in and hide some money, and they have to wait outside the room. So we do it in exactly the same way. It might not be a £20 note because I teach people all around the world, so it might be $20, it might be €20, it's whatever currency they're in. And then when it's been hidden, the actor comes back in and I ask them to think of a reason why they need this money. Now, some people have a resistance to this and they'll go, yeah, but I don't need £20, which is fair enough. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're wealthy. Maybe they've got enough money in their bank account. But what I do is I ask them to challenge this. And I ask them, do you like receiving money? To which most people will say, yeah, I love receiving money. And then I ask them, can you use your imagination to imagine something you don't enjoy paying for being used by this money that I'm going to give you genuinely if you find this £20? And usually they can get there and go, oh yeah, I don't like paying this bill. So that £20 would be really useful because then I'd have an extra £20 for myself to spend on something that I really like or to save. And then it gets really interesting. So, as I've already said, I say to them, whoever genuinely finds this £20 can keep it. And again, sometimes this comes with resistance because some people feel guilty and they're like, oh, no, I'll give it you back. I don't want the £20 if I find it. But they're really excited by the exercise. And I say, well, okay, we'll just see it like a £20 reduction off the course. And then they like that and they get very excited. So we get people on board. So remember, I'm telling you how I used to do this in person, but the same principle applies when I'm doing it online as well. And I'm telling you this resistance before I tell you what happens next, because this is a good analogy for mental tension. So mental tension is any thought that blocks you from your pure imagination and your pure unfiltered connection to the character. Now, from previous episodes, if you're not new to the podcast and you've been listening to it for a while, you'll know that mental tension in the actor is usually something along the lines of, can I do this? Can I connect to this character? Am I good enough? Why can others do this and not me? What are others thinking about how I'm playing this character? Am I making a fool of myself? You know, those kind of thoughts. But in this case, with this exercise, the mental tension is all the reasons the mind comes up with for not being able to connect to receiving the £20. So that's why I challenge those thoughts, because I have to get the actor into a place, or the acting student into a place where they are ready for this £20. So it's really exciting. I would close the door, they'd all be waiting outside, I'd walk around the studio and I would be like, okay, where am I going to hide this? And I want to make it really challenging. And then I let everyone in and the energy is different. So different. And even in the online classes, it's a total different energy because everyone's excited now about finding this £20. And some people feel really competitive. So they're like, yes, I want to be the one that finds it. So I set the timer again for 4 minutes. What do you think happens? Now, as they're looking for the £20, this is real. They are genuinely looking for it, and there is way more urgency. They're properly looking. They're not just pretending to look. They're not pretending to be frustrated because they can't find it. And some people are very methodical in how they search for the £20. Some people are a bit like a bull in a china shop and they'll look everywhere and scramble around and throw things everywhere. But because they know they are genuinely getting this £20, it causes a genuine emotional reaction in them because they've given themselves a reason as to why they need this £20. And because they've got the timer, they know they're up against the clock. And even if they know they've already got £20 and they're wealthy and they don't really need it, just that competitive side comes out, that they want to be the one that finds it. And they're really, really immersed in finding this £20. They're really focused on it. Now, I used to be really cheeky when I was in the studio, and I would hide the £20 in the studio ceiling. When I do this online, I've already shared with you, I ask someone's, like the student's housemate or whoever they live with, to hide it. But I ask them to hide the money in a really hard place to make it really challenging for them. So I say just make it as hard as possible. And, it works perfectly online as well. And it just becomes really fun. So there's a lesson in this. And the lessons here are that if you want a genuine connection to your character, to their scene need, to their emotions, firstly, you have to release the mental tension. This is why all of our classes start with the Methods chair relaxation exercise, because that is the best way to release these mental blocks. But before you can release the mental tension, you've got to recognise what your own mental blocks are. And so in the very first class of the 10-week method acting programme, all of my acting students write down the mental tension they're aware of, that they know get in the way of them connecting to the character and can start to interrupt in the middle of scenes and performances. And the reason we do that is because you have to start to become aware, consciously aware, of what your own mental tension is, so you can spot it quickly in scenes and get rid of it. Because if you don't get rid of that, you'll never connect to characters genuinely. You'll never connect to these fun exercises that we do. And then the next lesson is that if you want to genuinely connect to something and have a genuine emotional reaction, you have to make it personal to you. And that means marrying your imagination with your own life experience, which is what we do when the money is hidden. So the actor can actually imagine themselves finding this £20 and keeping it, and then they've drawn upon their life experience by asking, what do I actually need it for? What would it be useful for? And that is why when I really hide it, because I've done those two things first, saying, what do you need it for? What would you use it for? Then it's a genuine search for the £20. And when you can make something real to you, you are then acting from a place of truth. You're no longer fake acting. And you act like this is real to you because it is. And that is the key to acting. And these are the kind of exercises that we use in the 10-week method acting programme. We use them to drive the lessons home through experience. Because I can teach you on a podcast via words, but then you have to experience it to get the genuine lesson from it. And then once I've shown it you and you do it in the 10-week method acting programme and you've had the experience, then I show you how to use that in a scene. So you know exactly what you're doing with scene work. If these kind of exercises interest you and you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to try this, and I want to dive into exercises like this that are going to challenge me and that are going to be fun and practical, then the next 10-week method acting programme is our summer programme, and that focuses in on an area of method acting called objects of attention. And if you've never heard of that, do you know how when you're watching a film and there's an A-list actor in it and they are super focused and they're giving a very intense performance and they are so in character, it seems like they are the character? Well, it's because they're using objects of attention to really focus them in. And that is what allows them to give that level of performance that you are so inspired by. And the module that we're working on is going to help you get to those levels of performances as well. So it begins Wednesday, the 23rd of July. We're going to be holding auditions for it on Sunday, the 13th of July. But what I recommend you do is I recommend you take the what type of actor are you quiz first, find out whether you're a head actor or a heart actor, and see what method acting exercise is recommended for you, and then read up on the 10-week method acting programme. So the link for the quiz, which is free of charge, is bit.ly/acting type. And as I've already said, so far out of everyone who's taken the quiz, there is a clear 50-50 split of head actors and heart actors. I'm personally a heart actor. It'll be interesting to find out what type of actor you are. So that link again is bit.ly/acting type. I've loved delivering this episode to you because I love this exercise, and I hope you've really taken a lot from it as well, and it's given you a lot to think about with your own acting. And I'll see you again soon.
I've absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you found this episode inspiring. If you have, please do rate the podcast and hit follow so you never miss an episode, and I can help more actors like you. And come and join one of the most supportive, uplifting acting communities on socials, the Unstoppable Actors Facebook group, where you'll get your weekly injection of inspiration, networking, and receive your free Method Actors Handbook so you can become an unstoppable actor.